If you're a person that tends to take ownership and blame and a large percent of culpability when things go wrong, pay attention to this video because this one's for you. Hey, my name is Jack. Welcome to States Unlocked, the place to learn about social psychology, human behaviour, and also learn practical tips on how you can improve your life. If you would like to understand yourself and others better, hit subscribe, hit the bell icon so you're notified whenever I upload a new video. This video is all about acknowledging patterns within human behaviour. So you might be asking, okay, what am I talking about? What are patterns in human behaviour? If you're a person that tends to take ownership and blame and a large percent of culpability when things go wrong, pay attention to this video because this one's for you. Patterns of behaviour are really important to acknowledge because we all follow patterns of behaviour. I have patterns, I have my own patterns, you have your own patterns, and everyone around you has their own patterns, okay? And a lot of the times we have similar patterns, okay? So they don't have to necessarily be completely unique or different, and a lot of the time they're not. You'll see people that get into abusive dynamics, let's say, and these patterns are pretty predictable. The abusive man or the abusive woman behaves in very predictable ways. The victim tends to behave in very predictable ways as well. So it's not to say that these patterns are always so unique, although they can be. Now, the reason I want to make this video is because I think it was an insight that really helped me in my understanding of human behavior and myself, and helped me to stop taking ownership where it wasn't necessarily appropriate to be taking ownership. So if you tend to think that you are at fault for everything or you can control everything, you are wrong. The fact of the matter is, you've got your patterns, I've got my patterns, and let's say we're having a conflict. It could be both of our patterns at play, it could be your patterns, it could be my patterns. This is something really important to acknowledge because if you are someone that tends to take a lot of ownership and you seem to think you can control everything and you always go into thinking, oh, what have I done to cause this? Then you are taking responsibility for not only your own patterns but their patterns as well. You might not necessarily be able to acknowledge in that moment that the patterns at play might not be yours. It could be the other person's patterns. This is really important to understand, and I think it's an important lesson because if you are someone that tends to blame yourself, it can be really eye-opening to see, okay, I'm not the only one with problems. I'm not the only one that struggles. I'm not the only one with supposed defect. We all have defects, okay? So if you're someone that tends to put people on pedestals and thinks, oh, you know, I go through this, I go through that, I'm defective in X, Y, Z way, but everyone else is amazing, and you tend to like create this dynamic, this is a pattern in and of itself. If you do this, I would urge you to recognize that actually other people do have their patterns, okay? This might not be your pattern. There might be another pattern you're dealing with. Sometimes we don't want to acknowledge that other people have these patterns going on because it would mean facing up to the reality of who they are and what they have to offer. If someone has a pattern of behavior of cheating, let's say, that's their pattern. I'm not saying that they'll never be able to change it, but it's highly likely they won't change it, at least in the foreseeable future, because that is a pattern of behaviour in them, unless they actually do work to address that pattern of behaviour. The reason it's important to acknowledge patterns of behaviour is because we can glean a lot of insight from acknowledging these patterns. If we tend to think that life is just completely random and, you know, people behave in all these unique ways, and we don't actually see patterns or spot patterns of behaviour, it can be really difficult to see red flags sometimes. This goes back to what I was saying about patterns being predictable. So let's take a narcissist. Narcissists are well known for love bombing in the preliminary stages of dating. Pattern, okay? That's a prime example of a pattern of behaviour. So if you can actually start to recognise patterns, you can see in yourself and other people, you can see in other people what to look out for, and in yourself you can start to notice your own behaviour. Where are your patterns serving you and where are your patterns not serving you? If you have patterns of behaviour where you engage in arguments with other people because they bait you, that is a pattern of behaviour. And by acknowledging, okay, this is a pattern, I seem to be doing this with this person, I seem to be doing it with that person, then this is a pattern, okay? There's no shame in it, okay? We all have these patterns. Some of them are great and some of them really aren't great. By looking at our behaviour and seeing, okay, this is a pattern for me, we can actually see, do I want this pattern or not? Is this pattern actually helping me or not? We can actually start to address these patterns and create better patterns. I don't know how many times I've said patterns in this video, but hey, I just wanted to say thanks so much for subscribing if you have already. If you haven't, please do. It would be great to have you. Also, why not press the bell, because that way you're notified whenever I upload a new video. I'm offering live coaching sessions which can be found on my Patreon, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, please check the Patreon out in the description below as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you on the flip side. Ciao for now.